I've just seen an exciting advertisement. Someone became a millionaire on the fly and they say I can do it as well. I guess in such a case $2,000 for the lecture isn't too much to ask? Or is it? We'll find out today. Welcome to the Soft Skill channel. My name is Sebastian Jung and today we're talking about role models. Learning from other people, imitating other people, those are quite established and proven methods. For example, at work it will frequently occur, especially if you are new to a job, that you need to learn something that your colleagues already know. And for me, the best way always was to just sit next to someone who knows how to do it and observe how they do it and then to try it myself. And this has always worked better for me than some theoretical explanation. And you might even pick up some best practices, better approaches to do things. You might say, oh, my colleague has a really clever way to track his tasks and his appointments. I will try this as well. Or you might even pick up values. You might say, oh, my boss is really a great boss and fair and treats her people well. And if I ever make it to a leadership position, I will do as she does. And why shouldn't we apply the same principles to becoming successful and wealthy? Why don't we just imitate those who were successful, those who are rich, and then become successful and rich ourselves? Will this work? John Strzelecki would probably say yes. I recently presented to you his book, The Big Five for Life, and in there is an interesting concept. The Mad How disease. Strzelecki says if you have set a goal for yourself, usually the first question you ask yourself is how? How can I accomplish my goal? How do I start? How do I do it? And then there are plenty of obstacles and you have to overcome all those obstacles and it's hard and difficult and takes a lot of time and there's a learning curve and this also takes time and is even more difficult and all those obstacles and the learning curve wear you down, you lose your motivation and finally you give up. So Strzelecki says instead of asking how, you should ask who. Who has successfully accomplished what I want to do? And then you find out how they did it and you imitate that and then you easily skip over all the obstacles, you master the learning curve quickly in no time and everything becomes super easy. A bit later in the book, there is another important aspect added to this concept, and that is focus on the one. Focus on what's most important. There is a story, I will summarize it really shortly. You have to ascend a certain mountain. And you have to do so within 24 hours. And there are a couple of people you can talk to. There are some who tried to climb the mountain, but they didn't make it to the top. There are some who made it, but it took longer than 24 hours. And finally, there are some who made it to the top within 24 hours. And Strzelecki says, especially if you're pressed for time, you shouldn't waste your time on those losers. You should focus on what's most important. You should talk to those who made it in time. And this is a bit of a problematic and dangerous idea. In his book, The Art of Thinking Clearly, Rolf Dobelli describes the so-called survivorship bias. The survivorship bias works like this. You always see those who are successful, those who made it. They are in the public, they are in the media. For example, on TV and on the radio, you encounter the rock star who made it to fame. You never hear anything about those people who tried to make a living from music, but didn't even manage to get a single record published. So, apart from those few in the limelight, there is a giant graveyard of the failed ones, those who didn't make it. And we don't see this graveyard. We never visit it. We only see those in the limelight. As an example, let's talk about authors. If you visit any bookstore, you see giant piles of the current bestsellers by the world's most successful writers. And you might say, oh, writing is a pretty decent occupation. You can earn good money. All of them manage to do it, so I can probably do it as well. And what you don't realize in this moment is that for every one of those bestseller authors, there are probably more than 100 authors who are also present in this bookshop, but they are not on prominent display. They are somewhere in the shelves, and their books aren't popular and they don't sell well. And those authors can't make a living just from writing. They have to do a regular job as well. And for each of those, there are more than 100 aspiring writers who didn't manage to get any book published, who keep sending their manuscripts to publishers to be turned down again and again. And for each of them, there are more than 100 people who have an unfinished manuscript in some drawer, but who never get around to finish it. So, for each person in the limelight, there are masses of people on the graveyard of the failed. However, since we only see those in the limelight, we overestimate our chances of success. And there is another very important aspect here, especially in regard to role models and Strzelecki's Mountain. Those in the limelight, of course, talk about their life and what they did and how they achieved success, and their recipes and formulas for success. You read about it in magazines and you see it in interviews, and maybe they write a book about their life and so on. And then you say, oh well, so this is how you do it. This is how you become successful. But the tricky thing is, if we would actually visit the graveyard of the failed and have a look at what those people did, we would probably find out that plenty of them used exactly the same approaches, the same strategies, the same ideas, and nonetheless they failed. And the deciding factors between success and failure were entirely different things. Probably it was chance in a lot of cases, or relationships, things like that. And what we thought to be the recipes for success or formulas for success actually don't work. So, for Strzelecki's Mountain, this means he certainly should also talk to those who failed and find out if maybe they approached the task in exactly the same way as those who made it to the top in time, and if the deciding factors maybe were something entirely different. I personally think there are two important problems here. The first is, if we look for role models for success and wealth, we usually have to rely on people we only know from the media, because most of us don't have plenty of millionaires and successful entrepreneurs among their friends. So we don't rely on people we can actually observe in day-to-day life, people that we personally know, but we rely on people we only know fragments of, we only know from TV and magazines and so on, and all the information we have about them is just fractures, and it is filtered, distorted, we get it around plenty of edges, so it's all very vague. And in addition to that, the second problem is that there is a shift from action to result. In the examples I gave at the beginning, where you say, oh, this colleague has a great task tracking, this is really smart, I'll do it as well. Or my boss is really great and I will act like she does if I get into a leadership position. There you observe and imitate specific actions. However, if you say, this person is a millionaire and I want to be a millionaire as well, you try to imitate results, but results are exceedingly difficult to imitate because so many factors contribute to them, and it's very difficult to identify all of them. So here we are back to the graveyard of the failed and to Strelacky's mountain. So bottom line is, it is all so vague and unclear that it is pretty much useless. And this leads to interesting results. For example, to formalism. Formalism has a couple of meanings. One of those is a focus on form, on formalities, and on exterior aspects. So, for example, let's say someone says, I want to be like Steve Jobs. So what he does is he goes out to buy a turtleneck sweater. He tries to imitate outward appearances, hoping that the success will rub off on him as well. And I'm afraid there is very little hope for that. Now, obviously, plenty of people won't just buy the turtleneck sweater, but they will try to imitate everything they can find out about their idol. And this is problematic in its own right, because then we have a shift from I want to be as successful or as rich as this person to I want to be like this person. And this is a dangerous idea. A while back, I presented to you Reinhard Sprenger's book, Die Entscheidung liegt bei dir, literally translated, The Decision is Yours, unfortunately not available in English. And Sprenger takes a rather tough stance towards the concept of role models. He says, if we aspire to be like a role model, then we actually put ourselves down, because we basically say, what I am like, this is no good, this is useless. What this person is like, this is great, this is what I should be like. And of course, this is not a very positive and healthy attitude to have towards yourself. And furthermore, by imitating role models, we share responsibility. Because we can always say, oh, I just did what this person did and for them it worked out great and I don't know what's wrong, why it didn't turn out well for me. We don't have to say, I acted on my own decisions and my own beliefs and it still didn't work out. We can share responsibility. Personally, I also find it problematic that popular role models are often a bit questionable. I rarely encounter people who try to be like Gandhi or Martin Luther King. It's other names that come up frequently, and those are names that are more closely connected to financial success than to moral integrity. And I wonder, if we imitate such people, won't we also imitate questionable attitudes? So, what is the conclusion? It is perfectly fine to adopt an idea from someone else. You don't have to come up with everything yourself. But the important thing is, the idea should be the trigger, not the person. So you should say, this is a great idea and it is great in itself, and therefore I will try imitating it. You shouldn't say, oh, if this person does it, it is probably good and I will imitate it. And the chances for success are greatest if you focus on specific actions, not on results, and if you focus on people you know personally and that you can observe in day-to-day life. And the idea that you can quickly become rich and famous and successful by imitating people who are, I'm afraid this won't work out. Plenty of people have tried and you don't see many of them being successful, do you? And if someone tries to tell you otherwise, what he usually wants is your money. Have confidence in your own abilities and do your own thing. There is, of course, no guarantee it will work out. There never is. But it is worth the try. By the way, Do you know what the richest and the happiest people in the world have in common? If they watch a video they like, they will immediately click the like button, and usually they also subscribe to the channel, and frequently they even write a comment. Maybe this is the big secret. We will see each other again next week when we discuss the Pomodoro technique. For today I'll take my leave. Have a nice day. See you next time.